So the passage that I will be reading for this presentation is from the Metamorphosis by Ovid, and is from book 4, lines 753 through 803. Perseus tells the story of Medusa. And so the reason why I chose this passage was because I'm a huge fan of Percy Jackson and the whole series. So I've seen all the books, read all the movies, and so Perseus in the passage portrays Percy Jackson in the series. And in the series, Percy Jackson is tasked with killing Medusa in one of the books and movies. And so the scene there really similarly depicts what's happening here in the passage. And since it's like one of my favorite series, that's why this passage really resonates with me. And just to introduce the passage and provide some context of what's happening here, for those that don't know, Perseus' narrator is telling the story of Medusa. And Medusa is often misunderstood in Greek myth and regarded as a cruel monster. However, she only had the best intentions and placed her trust in Athena, who ultimately failed her and punished her for actions that she did not do and had no control over. And her story tells us that even the gods are prone to sins and that they place themselves above. And so I'm going to proceed to read the passage and play the music with it. He told of his long journeys, of dangers that were not imaginary ones, what seas and lands he had not seen from his high flight, and what stars he had brushed against with beating wings. He still finished speaking before they wished. Next, one of the many princes asked why Medusa, alone among her sisters, had snakes twining in her hair. The guest replied, "Since what you asked is worth the telling, hear the answer to your question. She was once the most beautiful and the jealous aspiration of many suitors. Of all her beauties, none was more admired than her hair. I came across a man who recalled having seen her. They say that Neptune, lord of the seas, violated her in the temple of Minerva. Jupiter's daughter turned away and hid her chaste eyes behind her aegis. So that I might not go unpunished, she changed the Gorgon's hair to foul snakes. And now, to terrify her enemies, numbing them with fear, the goddess wears the snakes that she created as a breastplate." So, hearing the music right now, it's actually a soundtrack called The Girl in the Woods, She Is Your Destiny. And just from the title of that soundtrack alone, you can somewhat relate it to Percy Jackson and what's happening here in the passage, because in the series, Percy Jackson was destined with killing Medusa, right? So the Girl in the Woods, Medusa, and She Is Your Destiny, referring to it was Perseus or Percy Jackson's destiny to kill Medusa. And furthermore, reading the passage, there's this sort of and knowing the background of Medusa too, you kind of like feel hopeless for Medusa. You feel sadness and despair for her because you know that she was in a situation where she couldn't control what was happening to her. And Athena, goddess of wisdom, made a mistake and she was not wise in doing so. So it's really ironic here. But since the passages and the story of Medusa is often very sad, this soundtrack is actually, the whole entire soundtrack is about feeling hopelessness or there's a loss of hope. And so this soundtrack really ties in with the passage in that sense. And that is why I picked the soundtrack.